Okay, but do you think you make those
time of the gentleman has
decisions?
expired. Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes himself. Mr. O'Boyle, why do you think they came down on you so darn hard? Deep down, what do you think their motivation is?
I think they want to, the agency as a whole wants to get rid of people who simply just don't toe the line that they want. They don't want critical thinkers. They don't want people who raise valid questions to their chain of command.
They want to send a message, don't they?
Absolutely.
They want to make you an example, don't they?
Yes.
And they don't care. They want to send that message so hard, so strong. They don't care that you served 6 years in the Army, member of the 101st Airborne, took enemy fire, was selected for a special new unit they were putting in Quantico. They wanted to send such a message that they said, if we can get this guy, we can get this guy to be quiet, we can get everybody to be quiet. That's what they were doing, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Especially since I just had a baby who was 2 weeks old, and we had just sold our house.
Just to put the emphasis on it, they said, we're going to do it the day he arrives. The day we've worked with him, we selected him, he's done a great job in the FBI, he served our country, took an oath to the Constitution, took an oath to defend this country. He's going to move, we're going to send all his stuff in this van to this moving, we're going to do that. When the day he arrives, we're going to suspend him. We're not going to let his family get their belongings. We're not going to let him get his clothes for his kids, his winter coats for his children. We're going to send a message. And they did. They suspended you. They took your pay. They don't let you get health insurance. They made life miserable for you to send a message. Because you know what? You reported on the first big screw up they had in this administration. The first big one. You reported to us as a whistleblower about the school board's issue. The Biden administration, they thought this was going to be a win for them politically. They thought it was going to make Terry McAuliffe governor of Virginia. Backfired on him. And you reported. Would it surprise you, Mr. O'Boyle, to know that the FBI told us they looked at 25 parents who were reported on this snitch line that was set up with this memorandum from the Attorney General? They looked at 25 parents. How many do you think of them were actually ever investigated and prosecuted? How many think were prosecuted, Mr. O'Boyle?
If I had to guess, I'd say zero.
Zero. Zero. And you came to us because you say this is wrong. This is wrong to set up some federal snitch line, some neighbor calling in because they don't like their neighbor's politics, reporting to the FBI, go investigate these parents. They said, we got to get this guy. We got to get Garrett O'Boyle because you had the courage to step forward. And it's not just with this issue, because we have the memorandum from the Richmond field office about Catholics, right? If you're pro-life, pro-family, and you're Catholic, look out. The FBI wanted to put people inside the church, inside the parish, to spy on fellow citizens. Does that surprise you, Mr. O'Boyle? Did that actually happen in the Richmond field office?
It doesn't. Not anymore.
Scary. And you know that memorandum, by the way? It was signed off by 5 people in that office. One of them was the chief division counsel, a lawyer who supposedly went to law school and probably had a course on the Constitution, signed off on that memorandum. Scary stuff. Scary stuff. Mr. Allen, you served 20 years. You had a security clearance for 20 years. You served our country as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Honorably discharged?
Yes, sir.
Won medals from the Marine Corps?
Yes, sir.
And they came after you too, didn't they? And you simply did. Mr. Goldman just asked you a few questions. You were simply doing your job. Yes, your job as an analyst is to compile information, open source information, present that to your colleagues so they're fully informed about the case. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you did that job, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You followed your oath, right?
Yes, sir.
You adhered to the rule of law.
Correct, sir.
You were consistent with the Constitution, just like the oath you took when you signed both as serve our country in the military and at the FBI.
Yes, sir.
And you did the same thing, didn't you, Mr. Friend?
Yes, sir.
And yet you felt the full weight of the federal government come down on you guys. And of course, they timed it perfectly. They sent a letter to us yesterday. We knew they would. We knew it was going to happen that way. And as Mr. Boyle said earlier, he's getting his hearing tomorrow, right, Mr. Boyle?
That's when they tried to schedule it. We've not heard back.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your service to the country. Mr. Bishop was right. The poise, the way you've handled yourself, the gentleman way you've handled yourself here, the way you've served our country, it does not go unnoticed. The American people appreciate what you've done for our country and what you are doing for our country. God bless you. I yield back. Now recognize the ranking member of the Virgin Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At least you got a document from the FBI.
We here, your colleagues in Congress, don't get documents from you, don't get material from you.
That document was sent to Chairman Adler, or Ranking Member
minutes.
Adler.
This is my 5 minutes. I didn't
I'll give you the
yield
extra
to you.
time, but it went to Chairman Adler.
I didn't
or
yield
Ranking
to you.
Member Adler.
I didn't yield to you, not Mr. Allen's testimony, not a lot of testimony. But, you know, I do and am concerned when I hear about people not being able to provide for their families. That does upset me as a parent, as a daughter of law enforcement, a granddaughter of law enforcement. I don't come from a place where I do not respect law enforcement, and I understand the sacrifices that they and their families make. Mr. Allen, do you know who Brian Reagan is?
Is the name Brian Reagan?
Yes, do you know who that is?
I'm not aware of a...
Okay, Brian Reagan was an Air Force individual, an Air Force airman who sold classified information to China, Iraq, and Libya. Mr. O'Boyle, do you know who Reality Winner is?
I believe I have heard that name before.
Yes, Reality Winner was an Air Force also, an NSA contractor who in 2018 pleaded guilty to multiple violations of Espionage Act as a contractor who leaked information about the Russian interference in the 2016 elections. Do any of you up here sitting there know who Jack Terexra is, right? We all know who he is. He's the young man in the National Guardsman in Massachusetts who leaked massive amounts of classified information. So because someone served our country in the military and that they do work for a federal agency does not exempt them immediately from being someone who could potentially commit espionage or lose security clearances. We give everybody a pass just because they served our country. We respect their service. But if they break the law, then that means that they have to face the consequences. If individuals do things that they're in the process and it determines that they are in fact have to have their security clearances removed, then that's what happens. So, my father served, all of my uncles served, people in my family served in the military, and we all respect that. But that does not give individuals a pass and means that they cannot be questioned about their security clearances and their allegiances later on to the country. You know, my colleague, Mr. Goldman, asked questions about Kash Patel, his engagement, his involvement with some of the witnesses here. You know, even another one of my colleagues brought up a testimony from Mr. Hill. He was just in awe and could not believe, he was chilled by what he said about Bank of America. I'm chilled by that same individual saying that the FBI are brown shirts, that they're Nazis, that the law enforcement agency are in fact Nazis. That's a more chilling component to me. But, you know, this is more of the same that we see each and every time that we're here. First, just as was demonstrated in the process that we're in right now, an unwillingness to follow precedent, follow the rules. The rules don't apply when it comes to the Republicans. They want different set of rules for themselves than everyone else. They want a different set of rules for their political beliefs than other individuals have. Individuals who are espousing their beliefs on the job where they're not supposed to, it's okay when it's their beliefs. But if it were somebody else, then a different set of rules would apply to them. Hiding information, it's all part and parcel of the Republicans' attempt to make Americans distrust our rule of law so that when 2024 comes around, and should their candidate not win, more and more people will not believe the truth. The truth matters. The truth matters. And hiding information and stating a lie over and over again does not make it true. And we will continue to, yes, be concerned. And Mr. Chairman, I continue to say that there are, I believe, areas that I think that we can work on. I have not had a discussion with you. You know, I've sent you letters about what I believe those areas are. No response with regard to that. But in their times.
Time of the gentlelady's expired.
I'm happy to do that with you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.